Inspired by that rereading of the final document, and thank you, Sylvia and Ray, for this, I would like to underline 3 points that I think contextualize this final document and this Dare to Care campaign at this historic moment. The first is the great transition from words to action. The second, the powerful energy of all of us young people. And third, the great opportunity for greater unity and the great risk of greater division. Start. The first, the great transition from words to action. Climate change and integral ecology are not something new. Scientists have been talking and sometimes screaming about climate change for decades. And the idea of integral ecology is as old as the gospel itself. But in the past 5 years or so, we've talked a lot more about climate change, aided by the Paris Agreement and our growing awareness of of the what the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change now calls the Red Code for Humanity. 6 years ago, Pope Francis made us wake up a little on the subject in his encyclical Laudato Si, and our response was to talk about it and to think about it together. But it was actually pausing the alarm clock. We haven't gotten out of bed yet. Many climate activists, including many young people, have also sounded this alarm, but too many of us are still trying to sleep. The impression I got at the General Assembly, and again when Sylvia and Ray reread the final document, is that the time for speaking, for slogans, for a lot of words is ending. The time has come to move from words to action. And the Dare to Care campaign, I think it can really help us here. And I think there's an image that can help us. In a plug of any electrical appliance, we have what is called an earth wire. Whenever there's a fault, the earth wire provides a way for the electrical current to discharge to the ground and keep people safe from electrocution. I think of our campaign as an earth wire or an earth plug. Earthing keeps us safe by working behind the scenes. When an earth socket works, we see nothing. When there is a breakdown, the current immediately makes its way into the ground. We need an earthing socket for the problems of today's society, for the problems of people and the planet, which can humbly and behind the scenes make us safer, more cared for, and well earthed. This is the first point, the great shift from words to action, but in a distinctly humble and nice way. The second point, the great energy of all of us young people. When we created the Dare to Care campaign, we often struggled to describe which age group this campaign or path was aimed at. It was started by young people at the Gen Fest in 2018, but we wanted it to be open to everyone. I often found myself omitting the fact that it was initiated by young people. I thought it was easier to point out the multi-generational involvement Ray and Sylvia, we're talking about, instead of talking about the leadership of young people in founding the campaign. But I've been thinking about this recently, and I think I was wrong to be cautious in saying that this campaign was started by young people because the energy of young people is the spirit through which this Dare to Care campaign was born and has grown. And in truth, we all have the shared experience of being young. For all of you who are who no longer identify as young, you You can remember those days when you were young, what it was like to be young. Not all of us have been lucky enough to get older yet. So our common experience of being young is a powerful collective and shared experience we all have. We don't all have the experience of being older yet. And this shared experience of youth lived today and youth remembered from yesterday is one of the characteristics that define this campaign. And I think in the wider community of climate activists, we have seen the power of this youthful energy can have in bringing people together across the age ranges. This youthfulness is a key to flipping that big switch from words to action. Third, the great opportunity of greater unity and the great danger of more division. For some people, reading the Assembly's final document, the question might be asked, why is the focal area movement changing its focus on climate and ecology now? Was it its purpose to bring unity to the world? And why has it now shifted to climate? The reality is that if we are serious about building a more united world, we have a responsibility to commit ourselves to bringing about the transition to a more sustainable world, a world of integral ecology that unites us, and that not divides us. And addressing climate change gives us an opportunity for unity, as well as the danger of greater division. Over the next 3 decades, the jobs we do, the food we eat, how we travel, how we heat our homes, or how we cool them will change due to our need to tackle climate change, reduce common carbon emissions, and care for the environment. Change upsets people. It is difficult for many of us to cope with change, and it often divides people more than it unites them. So, our work with this campaign and this final document is, is to make addressing climate change unite us, make our communities, our societies, and our world more and not less united. This is why integral ecology is a central part of our plan for the next 5 years. But it will also be a central part of the plan for the next 30 years because it is the biggest potential obstacle to building a more united world. And it is also the greatest potential opportunity to help us make progress towards that more united world. Our task is to move from words to action, to accumulate all our youthful energy, and to make a world with integral ecology at its center, a more united world. These are my reflections. Thank you for your attention.